All right, so I think we'll start with those who weren't here in the morning in the panel to introduce yourselves. So I'll start with Kai and I'll invite Joseph in the interest of time as well. So if you can please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your background and why you're here.
All right. Hello everyone. Jamani, habari zenu? Nawasalimia tena, habari zenu? Mmechoka, mjachoka? Safi. Sasa jina langu nitawaambia mwishoni ili muendelee kunisikiliza. Natoka benki inayopenda inawajali inaitwa Stanbic Bank, na pale nahudumia kwenye kitengo cha Stanbic Biashara Incubator. Tunachokifanya tunasaidia kukuza, so we enable businesses, entrepreneurs and innovators from startup stage mpaka kwenye biashara ambazo ziko established. I'm going to say something that I haven't said in any public platforms, kwenye any panel. I have a background in ICT. My base is software engineering. And better part of when I was growing up, I thought I'm going to be a coder. I'm not, but I thought I'm going to be one. And so today, imeniamsha hiyo ndoto kwamba kama sie basi nisaidie wengi wawe. Nashukuru kwa hapa.
Thank you. Karibu Joseph.
All right, habari zenu. Habari zenu. Asante. Yeah, my name is Joseph Manirakiza. Leading the implementation of the Funguo Innovation Program under UNDP, which is the United Nations Development Program. This is a program which is funded by European Union, and the aim is basically to support startups through scale-up by providing catalytic funding, technical assistance, but also working with the government to make the business environment better for innovators and startups. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing. Personally, I have been within the innovation ecosystem for I don't know how long, 9 years already. So I've been there. So I have seen it grow, and we engage with quite a number of partners across the continent. So I'm glad to be part of this discussion to actually share my perspective where we see the investment ecosystem for women-led startups go. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll also have my first question to Joseph and to Kai, representing the development sector, the development partners, and Kai representing the private sector. So we've been talking about this all morning, all day, rather. Challenges that we're seeing around women-led startups, and particularly women-led startups in ICT. But I also know that we've seen a few in Tanzania, and we probably have a few more coming from Africa. I know from you, from both your perspectives, what are some of the strategies that you've seen that work? That
of course, one being that within the ecosystem, we don't see a lot of startups being founded by women because probably cultural issues, but also the biases of investors and probably even policymakers, and also the nature of startups which are founded by women. Some analysis show that most money goes to fintechs in Africa, but most women are founding businesses which are more kind of within the impact area, and most of them are within the health tech, ed tech, or other areas which do not necessarily attract a lot of funding. So those are what the report are telling us. Having realized that, what we are seeing across the continent from some of the either investors but also development financial institutions is that they are starting women-focused kind of initiatives. Yeah, we are seeing that from the African Development Bank, for those who have heard of AFAWA. We are seeing that from the likes of IFC, but we have also been seeing some of the impact investors who are kind of designing calls and are putting incentives to women-led startups, to like giving them some extra credit. So that's all is done to kind of attract more women startups to apply, but also to be able to get funding. So that's just one strategy by actually creating intentional incentives to be able to support women to grow. So, we are seeing it work. It's going to take a bit of time to be able to catch up with Leo, but the idea is not really to catch up, but at least to have more and more coming in. And back home, I think we're also seeing such kind of initiatives. Within Funguo, what we have been doing, for instance, we have been, women-led startups are encouraged to apply. So when we did that for the first time, of course we saw them, but the numbers were not that encouraging. So in the second round, what we did was basically to actually put a quota that we are intentionally looking a minimum of 30% of the available funding that's going to go to women-led startups. And because we communicated that in the outreach, as a result, from the recently concluded call for funding, which we are going to publicly announce soon, we got about 47% of those that are going to be funded second round being women-led startups. So that kind of targeted approach definitely works. So that's what I can share for now, since we have a lot of time. Bit of time. Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. Yes, Kai?
Yeah, so just to build on top of what Joseph said, because of course the numbers are scary. Ukiangalia kama alivyosema, nikigeuza hiyo inamaanisha ni kwamba katika kila kampuni iliyopo hapa ambayo tunaita startup, inamaanisha kati yake 7 zimeundwa au zinaongozwa na wanaume, 3 tunagawana kwamba either co-founder ni mwanamke au anayeongoza ni mwanamke. Sasa kwetu sisi tukiangalia from the lens of the affected, tunasema kwamba okay, what are the challenges? As you said, I like the question kwamba challenges ni nini? We've discussed all day. These are the challenges. These are the facts. Kwamba kwenye every dollar wanawake watapata kiasi hichi. So it's all scary. And Joseph said we have to make intentional step towards countering it. But I'm saying also where we're building up for, because the biggest issue is not chicken and egg, but rather the pipeline itself. So we have very good ladies here. Tunafanya nini kuanzia huko chini? When it comes to investment, especially you're looking at from the private sector, you're expecting kupata returns. So the companies themselves, they have to make business sense. And then we are talking about, market share. Because yes, you have a startup, but what is it solving for? Is the solution going to get money back? Because it's pure numbers when you're talking about financing. Especially, business financing is even worse, but at alternative financing, which we do at the incubator. So we have few companies that we're working with. And while we're doing business models for them, especially the startups, we ask them, how are you going to make money? They say, I'm solutioning for this. So we're helping them build different models, and then we test them out. But we also answer another thing about it comes directly with investment, which is access to markets. Does it look like profiling? So, Sawa, you're working on this industry. Let's make you market attractive. Make you market ready. But what are the opportunities? Ziko wapi? How are we building you? How are we reverse engineering your business to fit that market? Does it look like capacity? So which are the gaps? Why are the gaps? Sindio? So all those things is around building a capacity for that pipeline. So I would say the first thing or the first strategy for me would be to angalia pipeline and then build capacity for it to be able to go even in global setup and say, these are the ones that we have. These are the ready to be invested startups for women or led by women. And then again, on the leadership part, which is another strategy where we can play a huge role. They say we not only need female leaders, we need sound female-voiced leaders. So anaweza ikawa ni mwanaume, anaweza ikawa ni mwanamke, but those that are filtering or are seeing the perspective from a gender lens. Kwamba, okay, how is this fitted with this problem? How are we solutioning for a girl child in uko mwisho wa wa Tanzania ambaye hayuko represented hapa. Kwa hiyo I would say the other thing is we build good voices, leadership voices in decision making, ambao wataongelea kwamba tunahitaji kiasi fulani kwenye hapa, lakini pia ambao watatengeneza sehemu ya kufikia. Mimi nashukuru sana ICT Commission kwa sababu when I told this to DG kwamba young Kai would have been ecstatic kukaa tu hapa na kusikiliza na kuona kwamba kumbe naweza kufikia. Sasa the same is with business. You need a step to not inspire but actually aspire to. Mimi ni mama ntilie na aspire kuwa na mgahawa. Ukinionyesha hoteli Grand Melia, ukinionyesha hoteli kubwa, ni ngumu mimi kuona kule. But I can see mgahawa next to it. So those leaders, one, they will help with those decisions. They will build a strong ecosystem ambayo ina good representation, lakini pia they will give us as startups, as businesses, something to aspire to. And then the third one, of course, is global setup. Now we are in our small echo chamber and we are saying Tanzanian invested startups for women. But there's a whole global, and I'm happy that we have a representation from other countries. There's a whole market out there with so many opportunities. Are we ready for that? Are we preparing for here peke yake? We're talking about other countries and how they're making strides in the kings, the Kenya, Ghana, na kadhalika. What have they seen that we haven't? And so maybe this is a call to our government as well. Sio kutengeneza, kama wanavyotengeneza mipango mingine ikiangalia dunia inakwenda wapi, basi hata huku kwenye biashara zinazoanza, biashara changa, tufanye hivyo hivyo. Kwamba tusianze kwa kuangalia sisi biashara zetu, but rather dunia inakwenda, afu tunarudi nyuma. Kwa sababu ukipanga kwa kuangalia ulipo, hautafika mbali. Lakini ukipanga kwa kuangalia unakotaka kwenda, chances zao utafika mbali na utapata ile nguvu ya kuruka vihunzi ya zile changamoto. Asante.
Wow, thank you so much for that. That was powerful. And what I like is, I think there's some resonating things that are still coming out that we've been hearing all day. And I think we heard from Joseph around cultural issues being perhaps a block for investments for women, opportunities for funding for women. Also the fact that there's a lot of money going into fintech. I also don't want to repeat the fact that we already know that in startups more money goes to men than women. But it made me wonder, is it intentionally going to more men, or is it women are not coming out to look for these opportunities? So that's food for thought for all of us. But what Kai, you said, that also resonated, and I think it's something that we've talked very much about in the morning, was a pipeline of support for the ecosystem, but also the role of role models, having, showing women role models. So I like that, and I really like the fact that you say we have to think globally. So even the strategies that we have, like you had a call for the government, the strategies that we have, how are we thinking globally? Like where is the world going? But what I also love most about this panel is the fact that it's very diverse. So we get to hear from Tanzania and we also get to hear from Estonia. So with that, Kedi, I would love to invite you. If you could share with us perhaps best practices that are working in Estonia, or best strategies that you've seen that have helped to unlock investment, especially for women-led startups.
Yes, thank you. First of all, everything that has been said is very true, and maybe I would like to start with the awareness raising part, because that's a very crucial component when we're talking about startups or women-led startups in general, because the awareness raising needs to be done for the investors, that there are women-led startups existing, and also encouraging different funding opportunities for them, and also for our young women, actually, that they do have this opportunity. And in Estonia, what we use quite a lot is different mentoring and accelerator and incubator programs for the startups, and also the special ones for women only. So in that sense, they partner up with already established might be women-led or men-led companies, but with someone who you could learn from. And also to provide business development support for the women-led startups, so that you would get a mentor, and also you would get mentoring and funding for conducting the market research, putting together a business plan. This is also when we're talking about the global approach, that you need to think local but act globally, you know, in that sense. So these are the things where actually the startup ecosystem can support women-led startups. In Estonia, we have Startup Estonia. We also do have different other university-led incubators where the startups then can be accelerated. Also Accelerate Estonia. So different platforms need to be provided, and also we saw the e-residency card here today on the stage. This is also an initiative that is actually created thinking about startups, so that you can establish a company in Estonia. We have quite a good tax environment for the companies, so you can operate from Estonia, but you have the whole European market in that sense. So these are some of the things where support would be very appreciated. Also when we're talking about the legal environment and knowing the legal sphere. So for a starting company, when you don't know anything about business, you have a good idea, you need support with the rest around it. So yes, that's it from me.
Thank you so much, Kedi. I love something that you brought up, and I think it just sparked something that we haven't been mentioning today is the tax environment and the legal environment. That's very crucial. I hope that the development partners in our private sector are also taking note of that. So Khalila, you and I both know what doesn't work in this country, but I would love for you to take this opportunity of this platform to share from your point of view what you think should be done and by whom.
Thank you so much. So one of the things that I'd like to say, it's really crucial to ask the right question. Normally we ask, why don't startups succeed? Why are youth-led startups not succeeding? Now let's ask, why are startups that are run by women not succeeding? And then let's break that up. Why are startups that are led by young women who are undergrad, then graduate, and then young mothers, and so on and so forth? Because across those different places, mwanamke kulingana na sehemu ambayo yupo maishani anapitia changamoto tofauti. Na kwa namna moja au nyingine tunatengeneza programu ambazo zinatakiwa kutumika na wote. Kwamba wanawake wote, yule ambao yuko chuo na yule ambao ni mzazi, wote tunaweka kwenye boksi moja, tumewatengenezea suluhu moja. So what I'm saying is we're creating programs that are supposed to fit all the different stages that different women go through, and we're trying to fit all of them in a box to say, well, this is a program that is focused on women, regardless whether you are an undergrad, a graduate, a young mother, a startup. Basically, we're expecting them to work across the board. And one of the things that we found out is it does not work. So in 2020, we did an experiment. We did an experiment with an organization from France called Follow Her. And we started an incubator called Uwezo Tanzania. And what we did is, literally, we wanted to do a 1-year program, but we ended up pushing it to 2 years. And the reason, because the experiment, throughout the experiment we were learning, the whole idea was train them, connect them to mentors, give them funding, business development support, and then they're going to accelerate. But what we ended up finding, and basically we were testing a hypothesis, and that was the importance of having business development support at every stage. And it's not just the one touch point with a mentor a week for 30 minutes to say, oh, this is what I'm doing, or this is what you should do. No, we actually had consultants going to their space of work, working with their teams, working with them, and the consultants would stay on ground for a whole week. So you have been in a training, umeingia darasani, umefundishwa, umeandika, you who were excited. Tumerudi, unajua ukitoka darasani, wote tunajua, ukitoka darasani karibia 80% ya ulichojifunza umekishakisahau. you're forgotten. And so kwenye hizi incubators and accelerator programs tunafurahi tumejifunza na kadhalika. Tukirudi ukikutana na zile changamoto ambazo zinakusubiri kule, kila kitu kinapotea. How do you make it practical? And the most important thing is to think about how do we make the training that we're giving practical? Because across the board, if 50 people have gotten a certain type of training, when they go back home, their contexts are vastly different. They're operating in several different nuances. Now, how do we still make sure that across the spaces that they're operating in, the practicality now still plays out? And so we found out that in those 2 years, that business development support across every stage, so you've received training, you go back, but you have a team of people going back with you in terms of, okay, how does this now contextualize to your environment, to your business? Not only to your environment, to your business, but remember, you're also in a different sector. You're also targeting different clients. But then the client for a tech startup in Dar and the tech startup in Kisarawe, different people, different environment. So if I'm training you with my context and perception from Dar es Salaam, umeenda kule umeshaumia. Because, and then we have young people or women coming out of these programs wondering, why am I not succeeding? I should be succeeding. And we're creating a generation of women who are now going back and blaming themselves for not succeeding, but the tools we were giving them were faulted in the first place, right? So you're basically ndo ile kwamba if you have a hammer, you think everything is a nail, which is what's been happening. So making sure that we're creating, I brought up co-creation in the morning, but creating programs that are contextualized to the nuanced experiences of these women. But that co-creation point is really important. Thinking through who exactly are we creating for? When we say women exist across a broad spectrum. Which woman are we creating for? Because whenever we're talking about startups, when you're unasema, tunauliza, what's your product? Who exactly is your target audience? You need to know. So even as we're creating this program, who exactly, name this person. Akiamka asubuhi anafanya nini? Akienda kulala anafanya nini? Tueleze huyu mtu ni nini? And then create directly for that person. These programs have to actually also, they also have to live what they preach.
Well, thank you so much, Kels. And what's really coming out strongly is the fact of context for women, and that women are not homogeneous. So we can't think an investment strategy across board, like this is an investment strategy for women in Tanzania, but it has to be broken down by context, right? Or even if we're doing entrepreneurial support, then it also has to be broken down. But what I was really hoping, this is me giving you like a magic wand, today we're changing everything, just point out, give names, say I want this person to do this, I want that person to do that. Whether they're sitting on this panel, whether they're sitting in the audience, or they're watching the live stream.
Beautiful. As we're revising the ICT policy, I would like, even as we're revising the ICT policy, Daktari, moja kwa moja, Dr. Nkundwe, moja kwa moja nakuja kwako, ni lazima tuhakikishe kwamba, najua mnafanya co-creation tayari, lakini wadau ambao tumekuwa mstari wa mbele wa kuendesha hizi programu zinazojikita kuzungumzia na wanawake, lazima tuwe kwenye hivyo vyumba, tuweze kutoa hizi context, otherwise tutakuwa tunatengeneza kitu ambacho huko mbeleni kitaishia kuwa tatizo. We're creating a problem for the future. On the other hand, so I'm going to turn kwa wadau. You are representing all the development partners in the space. Wadau pia mkiwa mnatengeneza hizi programu, kwa namna moja au nyingine, kuna kitu nimekuja kugundua. Kuna sehemu labda niseme nilikuwa nimeenda kupitch kitu na nikaambiwa hiyo product ni product ambayo inazungumza na wanawake. That's an NGO thing. Hiyo ni product ambayo inawasort wanawake. Wanawake, unajua, women are not clients. Nilishangaa sana because the people on that panel were completely flawed in terms of their perceptions on what women could do. So kwa wale ambao wako kwenye hizi panels au wanaendesha hizi program kwa namna moja au nyingine, ni muhimu kuhakikisha kwamba wale watu ambao tunataka kuwafikia wawe a big part of the development of the different programs that we do. Because kwa namna moja au nyingine kama wapo, lakini unakuta most of the times now hawajapitia ile mifumo ambayo tunajaribu kuirekebisha. So kama mimi sijapitia mfumo ambao unajaribu kurekebishika, sasa mimi nitakuja kucontribute nini? So to make sure that those who are actually part and have actually experienced yale matatizo wawe ndani ya mifumo. Upande ya sisi wajasiriamali wa kike pia kuhakikisha kwamba pale tunapojikuta na changamoto, tusisite kutafuta msaada. Na kwenye kutafuta msaada ni most of the times, mara nyingi kutafuta msaada kunatisha. Because unamuuliza nani, unaenda wapi. Mara nyingi tunakuwa na ngeli ambayo kwa namna moja au nyingine unakuta haipokeleki. Because you don't have the technical words to express your problems. You're told to ask for help, but nikienda ku ask for help huyo mwenyewe namuomba msaada, anashangaa, anaona kama sifai. Kwa sababu gani? Unakuta most of the times the language that entrepreneurs use perhaps is not sophisticated enough. Right? But then we need to be able to still keep pushing, lakini wale pia ambao wako on the other side, sisi ambao tumekaa huko mbele. So on one end we have to ask, but on the other end, sisi ambao tuko huko mbele, ambao tumepiga hatua mbeleni, we need to create platforms where we can openly come through and share. We cannot just wait for the ICT Commission to call us through for a different, tumesema kwamba in March kuna hiyo Women in ICT Day, but what are the monthly hurdles we have? What are the monthly, it can be webinars, it could be, but we need that community where we're consistently sharing and pouring out from our experiences, so we are not replicating the same issues that we are going through right now, because that's what's happening. It's just becoming a cyclical effect of the same problems being replicated over and over again.
Thank you very much. So in the interest of time, and I know this is not fair, we're supposed to have 45 minutes, but then we've been asked to shorten it, but then again, life is never fair. I would have loved to hear from the audience. We could have taken one question, but then I am afraid that we're running out of time. So in this time, I would love for each and every one of you, starting from Joseph, and I'll wrap up, just share with us one thing. You have been here the whole day today. We're talking about youth and women in ICT. What's the one thing that you're going to do differently? So this is an opportunity for you to share with us what you failed at, because as a culture, we don't like talking about failures. So today I'm giving you an opportunity to tell us where you failed, what you failed at, without saying that you failed, but just tell us what you're going to do differently. So just the one thing that you're taking away from today and you're going to do differently.
Yeah, thanks. I think I've already shared what we failed in the first round of funding, for instance, and I've already said what we did about it in the second round. And what I'm getting out of this one, we're already talking about it, which is the step forward, but we shouldn't end here. So it's a call to everybody, policymakers, development partners, investors, bankers. So it's a good thing that already people are taking action towards that. So we've already started, we've shown the way, so we're going to continue doing that. Thanks.
Kels, 1 minute. Oh, no, warn you, 40 seconds.
What we failed at.
Just say what you're going to do differently.
What I'm going to do differently. I think the biggest thing for me is what I ended up with right now. Making sure we're creating platforms, or I'm creating a platform where we are speaking back. I've been talking about a huddle for the longest time, but it's about time to start doing it. A space where every month we can literally just have an informal gathering of this is where we are failing, this is where we need to fix, and basically have these entrepreneurs who are looking to come into the space, come through and just learn. A safe space for open conversations, authentic and genuine sharing.
I totally agree, and I'm on the same page as Estonia is a digital nation, but we're not putting too much focus on our women either, not yet as well. So currently we also have a plan with the Estonian ICT Association to create this collaboration platform for women in ICT, and also I myself, I'm trying to give back. At least I'm also a mentor in this GovStack Women in GovTech Challenge, and trying to create this enabling environment for women and young girls.
I think two things. One is how are we as private sector, we as Stanbic Bank, we can play part in platforms where we build on top of each other. And this has always been my call anytime I get a chance, that and I know we need to do better, where one solutions for this and then the other comes on top and build on top of it. And that's how we build something great. instead of fighting over stones and whatnot. So cha muhimu hiyo kutengeneza mwendelezo kuanzia ngazi ya chini kwenye hao startups au hao hizo biashara tunazotamani kuzisaidia au kuziwezesha au kuzikuza zaidi, na sisi wenyewe ambao ni wawezeshaji, kwa sababu kama my program, I have a program targeting suppliers, and it's informed by research. We know the gaps, kwamba these are the gaps that are existing, and we solution for them. Lakini baada ya hapo, what next for them? Can I come to you and say, I have a list of 100 entrepreneurs, take them to your program. These are the gaps ambazo bado wanazo, and then we can grow them. Because one thing that we haven't discussed today, there are those that have been able to break the glass, wako huko juu, hakuna mtu anawafikiriaga, na wana nafasi ya kutengeneza nafasi kubwa zaidi. Tukiangalia uchumi wa nchi kubwa duniani, mabilionea ni wachache, lakini they've been able to create a value chain of hundreds of thousands huko chini. So what if we build strong, hata kama ni 10 billionaires, women, nadhani Gracia Machel Trust has a program around that where women creating wealth, powerful ICT women, building the likes of Amazon, Facebook. How watabeba wangapi? Pre-programmers, union. So let's think on that level as well. Let's solution up to that. And then the second thing is, as we continue to solution, sisi sasa startups, sisi businesses, let's not wish for kutengeneza biashara au kusema mimi nina biashara au nina idea ya biashara au mimi ni a woman in STEM. It's also a novelty, yeah? But as we meet the realities, or when we're speaking women agenda, there's also like human agenda on the bottom. So I always hear people say, but there's challenges, unajua, but kuna muda mwingine tunagusia mpaka human issues, not even gender issues. So I think there's a level of I don't want to say accountability, but kukubaliana na uhalisia, na kwamba huo uhalisia ndo unakupa opportunity ya kutengeneza masuluhisho, na hiyo suluhisho yako ndo sasa inakutengenezea thamani na inakuletea sasa biashara inakuwa, unapata faida na kadhalika. Kwa hiyo tunavokaa wakati we are solutioning or wakati we are building on, we have to accept a certain reality that this is what we are called as human beings, and then these are the challenges that are coming with my community, and then hapo sasa ndo investment that comes in. Because even when you are going to an investor, the first question they ask is, tatizo lako ni kubwa kiasi gani? Kuna opportunity kiasi gani? Sasa yale ambayo tunasema serikali tusaidie, jamani wale watu wa maendeleo watusaidie, those are the opportunities most of the time. So maybe it's a call for all of us. Even I live here knowing kwamba I need to go and have a list of things that are calling them or dubbing them as problems, but they're actually my opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love this panel because it's actually also giving me hope in terms of the future I think it's much better for the women of tomorrow, the young girls who are here today. With everything that has been said, I think I'll just also like to stress on Dr. Nkundwe, because you're here representing the government, applying this gender lens, but I would say gender and inclusive lens to the strategies, to the policies that we have, especially when it comes to the investment strategies or investment ecosystem for women-led startups. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to thank my panelists. Thank you so much for your time and all that you shared with us. And I hope the audience is still energetic to give you a huge round of applause. Makofi kwao jamani, asanteni sana.
Naomba pia makofi kwa dada Iku kwa kazi kubwa aliyofanya hapa. I really felt bad when dada Iku say the world is not fair, kwamba labda tumewanyima muda. Mimi I should declare my interest. I love women, seriously. Not the way you are thinking, but I love women. And I normally feel very uncomfortable to disturb them. So nothing bad was intended, but I was just making sure we are all good, as a few has remained and some of us has left. So the last session, but not by importance, is the fireside chat. And I would like to call my brother, Dr. Georgie Mulamula, Dr. Georgie Mulamula, to do the fire chat. This is about why top global VCs piling into a startup ecosystem of some few African economies. Karibu sana, Dr. Mulamula. You are the person between we and you going home. Karibu sana.